Apple's story began simply. It started in a garage in Los Altos, California. Two young men, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, shared a big dream. They wanted to change the world. They believed computers could be for everyone, a radical idea at the time. Jobs was a visionary with a keen sense of the future. Wozniak was a brilliant engineer who loved to build things. Together they made a perfect team. Their journey took a big step at the Homebrew Computer Club. Wozniak showed off his early computer designs there. Jobs saw the potential and pushed Wozniak to start a company. They aimed to make technology personal and empower individuals. The Apple I was their first product, launched in 1976. It was a basic circuit board, mostly for hobbyists. Users had to add their own keyboard and monitor. It was not a computer for the masses, but it was a start. It showed their determination and proved their concept could work. The Apple I was the first seed. From this small seed, a giant company would grow. Their journey was just beginning. Jobs and Wozniak learned much from the Apple I. They knew their next computer needed to be better and more complete. Wozniak designed a machine far ahead of its time. Jobs focused on the user experience, making it look friendly and accessible. This vision shaped the Apple II, launched in 1977. It was a sensation, coming in a sleek plastic case with color graphics and built-in sound. It was ready to use out of the box, a revolutionary simplicity. The Apple II was not just a tool for engineers, it was for everyone. It brought personal computing into homes, schools, and small businesses. Software like VisiCalc, the first spreadsheet program, was transformative. VisiCalc made the Apple II an essential business tool. The demand for Apple IIs soared, making it a status symbol. Apple quickly became a major company. The Apple II was its flagship product, fueling growth for many years. It established Apple's reputation for innovation and made Jobs and Wozniak very wealthy. More importantly, it ignited the personal computer revolution. Apple was leading the way, and the world was watching. Apple was not content to rest on its laurels. Steve Jobs visited Xerox PARC in 1979 and saw a graphical user interface, GUI. Users could interact with the computer using images and a mouse. Jobs knew this was the future of computing. He immediately started a new project at Apple, the Macintosh. He assembled a small, passionate team and pushed them hard. Jobs envisioned a computer that was powerful, beautiful, and easy to learn. Apple announced the Macintosh with a spectacular television commercial during the 1984 Super Bowl. The ad, directed by Ridley Scott, showed a dystopian world shattered by a lone heroine. It positioned Apple as a liberator and created immense anticipation for the Macintosh. The Macintosh launched on January 24, 1984. It featured the revolutionary GUI, a mouse, and a bitmapped display. It introduced fonts and icons, making computing visual and intuitive. Desktop publishing was born on the Macintosh, empowering creative professionals. The Macintosh did not just change Apple, it changed the entire computer industry. It set a new standard. Despite the Macintosh's innovation, Apple faced internal challenges. Steve Jobs' management style was intense and demanding, creating friction within the company. Power struggles emerged and the board of directors grew concerned. John Sculley, the CEO Jobs had hired, clashed with him. In 1985, Steve Jobs was forced out of Apple. It was a stunning blow, leaving Apple without its chief visionary. Jobs went on to found Next Inc. and acquired Pixar Animation Studios. Apple, meanwhile, began to stumble without Jobs. Innovation slowed, and the product line became confusing. Microsoft Windows gained market share, and Apple's future looked uncertain. Then, in a remarkable turn of events, Steve Jobs returned. Apple acquired Next in late 1996, and Jobs came back as an advisor, soon becoming interim CEO. He moved quickly to revitalize Apple, simplifying the product line and focusing on quality. He launched the iconic Think Different advertising campaign, celebrating creativity and rebellion. It signaled that Apple was back, and hope was rekindled. Steve Jobs' return marked a turning point for Apple. He brought a renewed sense of focus, streamlining operations and making tough decisions. He wanted Apple to concentrate on making a few great things. The first major product of this new era was the iMac, launched in 1998. The iMac G3 came in a striking translucent Bondi blue case. It was an all-in-one computer designed for the internet age. The iMac was a massive hit, bringing Apple back to profitability. Next came the iPod in 2001. The digital music market was emerging, and existing MP3 players were clunky. Apple created a small, elegant device with a simple interface. The iPod transformed the music industry, making digital music mainstream. The iTunes Store followed in 2003, making it easy to buy music legally online. The iMac and iPod were part of a larger vision called the Digital Hub strategy. The Mac would be the center of a digital lifestyle, connecting various devices. This strategy integrated hardware, software, and services, creating a seamless user experience. Apple was no longer just a computer company, it was becoming a consumer electronics powerhouse. By the mid-2000s, mobile phones were everywhere, but Steve Jobs saw a problem. Most phones were not very smart and were difficult to use. He envisioned a device that combined a revolutionary mobile phone, a widescreen iPod with touch controls, and a breakthrough internet communicator. This was the genesis of the iPhone. Apple unveiled the iPhone on January 9, 2007. Steve Jobs' keynote was masterful, captivating the audience. The iPhone had a large touchscreen display with no physical keyboard. It used multi-touch gestures and offered a desktop-class web browser. The excitement was incredible and people lined up for days to buy one. A year later in 2008, Apple launched the App Store. The App Store allowed developers to create and sell applications for the iPhone. It unleashed a torrent of creativity, making the iPhone capable of almost anything. The iPhone's impact has been profound, redefining the mobile phone industry. It ushered in the era of mobile computing, changing how we communicate, access information, and entertain ourselves. The iPhone became Apple's most successful product, propelling it to become one of the most valuable companies in the world. The world mourned when Steve Jobs passed away in October 2011. Tim Cook, Apple's longtime chief operating officer, became CEO. Many wondered if Apple could continue its success without Jobs. Cook was known for his operational genius, bringing stability and continuity to Apple. Under Tim Cook, Apple continued to grow and innovate. He expertly managed Apple's complex supply chain and oversaw the launch of new product categories. The Apple Watch, introduced in 2015, became the world's best-selling smartwatch. AirPods, launched in 2016, revolutionized wireless audio. Apple also expanded its services business significantly, including Apple Music, iCloud, Apple TV Plus, and Apple Arcade. Services became a major revenue driver. Apple increasingly positioned itself as a luxury brand, with products featuring premium materials and meticulous craftsmanship. Apple stores evolved into experience centers, enhancing the brand's aspirational appeal. Tim Cook emphasized Apple's values, focusing on sustainability and privacy. Apple committed to using 100% renewable energy for its operations and increased the use of recycled materials in its products. These efforts shaped Apple's identity in the Cook era, aiming to be a force for good. Apple's success is not just about its products, it is also about how it tells its story. Apple has always been a master of marketing, tapping into emotions and selling a dream. This approach was pioneered by Steve Jobs, who understood the power of narrative. Apple's marketing is often as innovative as its products. Simplicity is a hallmark of Apple's advertising, focusing on the product with clear, concise messages. Think of the iconic iPod silhouette ads, which conveyed joy and freedom. The Think Different campaign is perhaps Apple's most famous. Launched in 1997, it featured black and white images of iconic figures like Albert Einstein and Martin Luther King Jr. Product launch events are another key part of Apple's marketing. Steve Jobs turned them into theatrical performances, building anticipation and telling stories. Tim Cook has continued this tradition, with Apple events still being major happenings. They reinforce the brand's mystique and showcase Apple's relentless pursuit of perfection. Apple's journey has been one of extraordinary financial success. It became the world's first company to reach a $1 trillion market capitalization. Then it surpassed $2 trillion, and in early 2022, it briefly touched $3 trillion. This success is built on a diverse portfolio including hardware, software, and a rapidly growing services division. Apple's ecosystem is a key strength with devices working seamlessly together. This integration provides a superior user experience and creates strong customer loyalty. Apple continues to expand this ecosystem, investing heavily in research and development. Looking ahead, Apple is exploring exciting new technologies. The Apple Vision Pro, launched in 2024, marks its entry into spatial computing. It blends digital content with the physical world, transforming how we work, play, and connect. Artificial intelligence is another major focus, making products smarter and more personalized. Health technology also remains a key area of growth, empowering users to manage their health. Apple's legacy is far-reaching, symbolizing innovation, simplicity in design, and the power of big ideas. Apple has fundamentally changed industries and shaped how we live our daily lives. As Apple continues its journey, it carries this legacy forward, striving to create tools that empower people. It remains a beacon of creativity and possibility for the future.